Good morning to you. Hey, it's Kirk Duncan here, and welcome to this awesome experience here this morning. Super good to be with you because we're going to be talking about how to improve the way we coach, the way we teach, the way we work with people. I'm excited to be with you. I've been doing this for 18 years, and I love sharing what I find and what works. I mean, don't you like great advice that actually works instead of somebody's crazy idea of like, does this even work or not? But today you're going to find a lot of gold nuggets today that's going to literally make a difference in how you talk to people. So let me know you're alive and breathing by jumping in the chat box and saying good morning. And great to be with you. I haven't done this on a Saturday morning in a long time. So this is going to be really good. Love to be here with you. So, there we go. Video's on. Yeah, great to be with you. This webinar here this morning is a training on body language about how to work with people, talk to people, how to make sure that you're communicating in a way that you're getting more details so that you can solve the deeper issue. Get more details so you can solve the deeper issue, like what's going on with a person. I'm going to walk you through lots of understanding here to be able to help you see that you actually have skills that can be improved. I mean, you already know that there's different parts of your life that can be improved, but wow, when your communication skills can improve, that's when the game changes, is when your communication skills improve. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kirk Duncan. I have been coaching and training for over 18 years now. 18 years of coaching. I love it. I've been holding live seminars, workshops, training classes for over 18 years. And we have done a lot of this live audiences here in Salt Lake City, Utah. We were holding at least one 3-day live event every single month for 15 years. That's a lot of seminars. That's a lot of workshops. And these are our classes. These are people coming to just us. It's not a multi-speaker event. It was a full 3 days that I would coach and train at, and or my wife would be there with me in doing the coaching and training. We've also held some private training events that are higher level classes in our home so that we could pass on to people what we've learned, what we've really learned, what we've really experienced in this life that has made a difference for us. Because if it works for us, it's a really good chance it can work for you too. We've also had the opportunity to be on TV many times, over 85 times, to be able to spread our message to as many people as possible. And so in our pursuit here, I did not start out wanting to build a business. That's not how this all started out. The funny thing is, here's the funny thing, is that it started out of me starting to do training because I needed groceries. I don't know if you know this story or not, but I needed groceries, and I took a risk. I have always felt like I wanted to be a motivational speaker, but I was such an introvert, so shy. How do I become a motivational speaker if I'm an introvert and I'm shy? And at that point in my life, overweight, struggling in that way too, but I really wanted to do something. So I took a risk and I left my job. And when I left my job, I was trying to figure out, how am I going to help people? How am I going to teach people? And it got to the point we needed groceries and we didn't have groceries. So I was compelled to get out of my introvert stage. I was compelled to get past my shyness and get out there and help people with what I knew, what I was trying to do with my own life. Well, 18 years later, a lot of things have happened. I've created over 41 training programs. I've taught people all over the world to many, many islands. I've had people from all over the world from islands reach out to me and say, hey, I'm watching you. I'm watching on your YouTube channel. Hey, I'm watching your webinars. It's crazy how the world is big, but it's small. I've been able to create it says 505 training videos. I got to recount. I'm sure I'm in the 900s by now. 18,000 hours of experience, over 6,000 presentations, scholarships, TV appearances, and all of this, and good, clean language. I don't know about you, but I get tired of going to events where all you do is hear cussing. I don't know. I don't understand that. I just don't understand it. I don't care how they try to explain it and how it works with the psychology, but I don't know. I think we as teachers need to be the kind of teachers that if kids were in the background, if teenagers were in the background, it's okay that they're listening. If there was a 7-year-old in the background of the webinar, like if your 7-year-old walked by, that it's okay for them to hear what they're hearing, that you don't have to be concerned about the language or the foul stories that come out. I don't know. I think we really need to just upgrade the whole education system when it comes to seminars, workshops, and really think about the kids who are searching for answers and not put garbage in their head. I don't know what you think, but I think that's a good standard to live by. We've done that here at 3 Key Elements. We live by that standard. You're not going to hear a colored language coming out of my mouth or bad language coming out of my mouth, because I know kids are listening. I know they listen. I know they're really searching for answers too. So any recording, any webinar, any class I ever teach, you will know that you can be safe in understanding that nothing's going to come out of my mouth that can pollute their brain. I'm here to help. So you can trust that of myself and any of the other trainers here at 3 Key Elements. We hold that to be super important, that the ears that are listening can sit there and learn and not have to try to filter what it is that they're hearing. Cool, huh? But yeah, years ago when I was, like, oh man, I got to have groceries. I was in this deep introvert stage, deep shy stage, and I couldn't see myself coaching and training. I just couldn't see myself doing that. I wanted it and I felt drawn to it, but I never really felt like I had the current skills or the current abilities to do it. And isn't that interesting how we measure what we can do by what we're currently doing? Isn't that interesting that we look at what we're currently doing and we see what we want to do, and if it doesn't match, we don't do it? It's so weird that we would do that, but I get it. I've been in that same stage where it's like, oh, I can't do that because I'm not currently doing that. How often does that hold us back? I mean, for me, it held me back a lot. Introvert, overweight, broke, and then I'm going to go help people. How could I, 18 years ago, how could I have started helping people if I had all that going on inside my head? It was rough, right? It was rough. And I don't know if you've ever tried to do something new or here's the thing to think about. Have you ever received an idea or an inspiration that just seemed way beyond your capacity, right? It's like way beyond your capacity. And you're like, I can't do that. Maybe you've been inspired to write a book, or maybe you've been inspired to build a class or a system to help kids, or you're to help couples or individuals. Maybe you've been inspired to do something that currently you don't have the skill, or you don't have, you think, the ability to do it. And so you put it off, right? We do that. We totally do that. We put it off because we evaluate ourselves. And I did the same thing. But I was compelled because I needed groceries. And so I had this oh, I got to go out and do something here. And so it's interesting how that can happen. And I really think that God gets involved and goes, okay, how do I get this person to move? He has his way of compelling us, doesn't he? But yeah, so I got started 18 years ago, and it was a slow go in the beginning. It was slow go. It really was. In the whole teaching, I had to learn a lot, really work on myself and my personal belief. And now here 18 years later, I'm just shocked that I've been doing this for 18 years. I mean, this is like my mission, my life purpose, to be able to serve and help people as much as possible, help them get through whatever they're facing. and to be able to help them with their psychology and their mindset so that they can perform at a higher level. I really believe in deep connection, following impressions as soon as possible. And I really believe we are living underneath our potential and we can unlock it. We really can. But if you don't know how to unlock that, if you don't know how to receive inspiration, if you don't know how to get up and going, you're not done yet. You can still learn. No matter what age you are, no matter what circumstances you're in, you are not done yet. It can change within 24 hours. So much can happen within 24 hours. So many of my clients, my personal coaching clients, I have seen them make dramatic shifts within 24 hours. And then there's the 7-day window from Sunday to Sunday. That 7-day window, miracles can happen. But we got to do our part. You know what I'm talking about. We got to do our part. We can't just like sit in the back of the bus and expect the driver to take us wherever we want. We got to get in the driver's seat, right? We got to get in the driver's seat and go, okay, where are we going? Where are we going with my life? Let's drive. Too many times we're still in passenger mode when it's time to be in driver mode. When you were a kid, you were the passenger. When you were the kid, when you were the child growing up, you were the passenger on the bus. And whoever your adult was that raised you, they were the driver. But sometimes what happens is we don't get out of our seat and move up to the driver's seat. We might be sitting on the second row back, trying to tell everybody else what to do so we can go the right way. You really need to consider that you might be still sitting in the passenger seat on the bus and not happy with where you're going, but you're not driving. You're not driving. You're not in the driver's seat. So that's something I want you to think about and be able to take a note on right now and consider the fact maybe you're in the passenger seat. You might be just the one seat behind the driver, but you're still not the driver. This was a huge breakthrough for me as I was moving in my life and trying to figure out what's up with me. How come I can't do what I want to do? And I realized mentally, I was still the passenger. I still had that child, kid, teenager thinking that somebody else should get me where I want to go. Thinking somebody else should take me where I want to go. But when you realize that you can get into the driver's seat and put your hands on the wheel and turn, and you can steer where you want to go, that is a game changer. And that's what I love to coach people how to do is get out of the passenger seat, get in the driver's seat. That's a game changer because now you can make the decisions and you have the kind of mind, body, and soul that can go there. That's amazing. When you see somebody move from the passenger seat to the driver's seat, it is an absolute inspiration to see someone do that. And it's absolutely motivating when you can do it yourself. So if you've ever complained or blamed or moaned and groaned about your life and the condition of your life, you're in the passenger seat. You're not going to get anywhere sitting in the passenger seat. Get up, walk down the aisle, get in that driver's seat. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, no, somebody else is driving, Kirk. And it's like, no, you're still in that child mode. So as we go through this training this morning, you're going to hear me point at you. I'm going to point at you about changes you need to make to be able to see the body language of others. Your ability to see these nonverbal cues and be able to see other people and see what they're doing and see what they're saying and see what they're not saying, you're going to have to activate your mind up a level because you can't be passive and progress. Passive progression, what is that? That's not even, those two words don't even go together. Passive progression. So I know people who like get on here and watch my webinars and they think by absorbing the information, all of a sudden they're different. No, you got to take the information and use it. Information has to move to application. Write this down. Information moves to application. Application goes to transformation. Information, application, transformation. And I hope you're not the kind of person who is stuck in information gathering. Because you can read all the books you want, you can watch all the webinars you want, but until you start using it, nothing's going to change. Fill your head full of a bunch of knowledge, but it doesn't mean your life's going to change. You have to use this, what you're learning. Same thing here with this webinar today. You have to use it for you to get the benefit of it. You're going to be like impressed and like, wow, this is amazing. But if you don't start using it, it's pretty much a waste of time. It's a bunch of stuff now you know, but it's not doing anything. Got it? So did you write that down? Information, application, transformation. So how do I live my life? I'm going to get information, I'm going to use it, and then I'm going to transform. So my goal, my personal goal, is to keep heading towards and getting into that transformation zone in different areas of my life. What can I transform next? Okay, that's what I want to transform. Great. I need to go learn and I need to go do. Learn, do, learn, do. And as I learn and do, I get to refine. As I refine, transformation happens. And that is what's happened to me along the last 18 years. And that's what I do for other people. I love to take them from information to application. It's the kind of coaching that's missing. Too many coaches are like, I'm just going to teach you a bunch of information and that should change your life. No, you gotta put it into practice. In fact, it's called daily practice. Write that down in that application zone. Daily practice, not just monthly practice. We're talking daily practice, because how are you going to change a behavior if it's not in a routine, right? Routines change behavior, because behavior is what we're stuck in. That's where you're stuck. You're stuck in a behavior and it's just repeating itself every single day. And you're like, oh, I got to get out of this. I feel like I got to move on. I got to do something with my life. But you don't have a new routine you're following to change your behavior, right? And so that's where we get stuck, is we get stuck in these behaviors. And that's why we need to apply what we're learning so it can change the application of what we're doing every day. That moves us up to transformation. So you can get information. You can have daily practice of applying it so that you can move up to transformation. Information, application, transformation. I'm going to say this a couple more times. Information, application, transformation. That's where you're headed. So if somebody says, hey, where are you going in life? What are you working on? I'm working on transformation. People are going to be like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I'm working on transformation. Like, oh, and that'll shock them. And they'll say, what does that mean? Oh, wow. I know there's a lot of people who are learning. Me too. But I'm in the zone of application because I want to change and improve different parts of my life. And I want to be in this zone, the transformation zone. That's where I want to be. Boy, that's something to think about. That's something to think about right there. So what you learned from me today, you're going to use, and you're going to use it so it creates change. But if you stay down here, yeah, nothing's going to change. You're just going to have a bigger head full of information, and you're going to stay in the same behavior. And I don't know what you do. I don't know if you complain and blame to people, but I'll just point at you and say, you're just not doing it. You're not doing it. You have to do it. You have to do something for things to change. For things to change, I must change my behavior. Got to do something. So get into the application zone. No matter what it is you've learned, do it. And I know what you'll say, but Kirk, I've tried so hard and it's just not working. You just keep going. You keep doing it until it changes. You know that. You got to keep going, because if you stop, it didn't happen, right? Okay, so along the way, lots of great success in serving people, teaching people, helping people. Now I do webinars. Now I do a lot of online work to work with people. And now we're reaching people around the world. Love what we're doing. The mission is going on. We've been doing this for 18 years. We're going to still be here forever in teaching people, because it's my purpose. It's my mission. I found what my calling is. That is a game changer too. I found what my calling is. It's to serve and help people. to serve and help people. And in serving and helping people, this is what I do is I help them move from here to here to here. And if you can't get to transformation, maybe you need me as your coach. Maybe that's what you need to do. You need to hire me as your coach. And then I could work with you to get you to transformation so you can create change. But this is what I do, and I love it. And I love serving people. Now, speaking of this, here at the very beginning, before we jump into body language today, because that's what we're talking about, got a lot of great content for you. Before we get into that, I want to introduce you to my sister. This is my sister, Robin. Robin is dynamic, absolutely dynamic. I love her dearly. And this one day I was out at a storage unit that I had, and I was cleaning up some office stuff and some equipment at a storage unit. And I got a phone call from my other sister who said, Robin just went into the hospital. And I was like, what do you mean she went into the hospital? Yeah, she just went in the hospital. She didn't feel good when she woke up this morning. I was like, is she okay? And she says, well, she's kind of in bad shape. They're trying to figure out what's wrong. And I'll call you back as soon as they figure out what's wrong. And I said, okay, should I go to the hospital? It's 6 hours away. Should I start driving? Should I get a plane ticket? And she says, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Robin's just got in the hospital. They're trying to figure out what's wrong with her. They don't know what's wrong. She's here. She's talking to me. She's calling her boss and telling her boss that there's some reports that need to be done. She's making a bunch of phone calls just to let everybody know that she's in the hospital. I said, oh, so she's talking? Yeah, she's talking. She's on her phone, talking to people, calling people. And she wanted me to call you and just say, hey, I'm in the hospital. I said, okay, should I go? And my other sister, she said, well, you probably should come here. I was like, okay, I'm going to finish what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to start heading that way. I'll just cancel everything and I'm going to come. I'll be at the hospital. I'm almost done. I'll cancel everything. It's going to take me about 6 hours to get there. An hour later, I get a phone call. And my sister says, she's gone. I just stood there, still in the parking lot at the storage unit. I said, what do you mean she's gone? She's gone. I mean, what happened? They don't know. She's died. She's gone. And I just stood there. It's how'd that happen? That's not fair. I didn't get to say bye. Robin didn't know that she was going to die that day. She didn't know. I didn't know. She didn't know. Nobody knew that it was her turn to go. I love my sister. As her brother, I would see Robin just be happy everywhere we would go. She's always talking to people and she's just the life of the party. Everywhere we went, I mean, everybody just loved Robin. Just super fun. Always included everybody, treated everybody with respect. Always thinking about everybody. And Robin and I have had, I'm her brother. And so, and we've had some pretty deep conversations. And I knew inside of her, there were some, she had her own inside bullies, negative thoughts and working on her self-esteem like we all do, and she's wrestling with, her life and she had a baby when she was young and gave it up for adoption. And she was struggling with that. And, a lot of things that she was wrestling with in her own life and really hard for her emotionally, mentally. And I did everything I could to, as much as she would reach out to help her. and just to love on her. She's my sister, right? Help her as much as she's willing to ask, and to be able to do whatever I can for her. I miss her. I miss her. And I'm still in some shock that it happened so fast, which taught me you never know when you're done. You just don't know if today's the day. You just don't know. And I don't believe a person needs to live a life struggling on the inside with negative thoughts or bullies on the inside or wrestling with emotions. I don't really believe that a person is supposed to struggle with that at difficult levels. I really believe that we can make changes to our life inside of our body and do something about it. I really do believe that. And when Robin passed away, one of my thoughts was, but she was working on things. She was just starting to learn. And then her life was over. So in honor of my sister, in honor of who she is and the love of life she has for all people, and also in honor of my sister to help other people, I have a gift for you today. Here's a gift I have. I have a program called Mind Warriors. And this is a program that helps teenagers with their thoughts and their emotions. It's a program for families, for kids, for teenagers, for adults, whoever wants to learn from it, but it's specifically made for the family and teenagers who really want to do better on the inside. It's called Mind Warriors. And if you go to 3ke.2/Mind Warriors, you'll see this page. It is a 4-week training course with very specific training on how to learn to manage your mind, how to manage your emotions, which teenagers these days don't know how to do, which parents don't know how to teach their children how to manage their mind and how to manage their emotions. But this is a 4-week course on how a family can learn how to manage their mind and manage their emotions. And so in honor of my sister, Robin, I'm going to gift to you this course, going to gift it to you. Now, this is what you do. So there's no cost for this program. It's a 4-week training course. You go to 3ke.2/Mind Warriors. It'll take you to this page. On this page, you see in the bottom right corner, it says, yes, register now. You'll see that it's a $20 class because I priced it low so any family could get it. But you, in honor of my sister, Robin, you get it for free as a gift. So you click the registration button. It'll take you to a registration page. You'll begin the registration page. Then the next page, it comes to the point where it's going to ask you to pay for the course. But what you do, you'll see it says total. Down below, you're going to see that it's going to ask you for your credit card information. But before you put in your credit card information, what you do is in this coupon window, you put this 3KE gift. Put 3KE gift in there, click that enter button, and the credit card information little fill-in windows down below will go away, because now it'll show you that it is now 0. So a scholarship has been applied. And so now you will have this course for free. So you go to the registration, you get to the registration, you go to the coupon piece, don't put in your credit card information. Just type in 3KE gift, this right here, and then it will take away the credit card information windows, and then it'll take you to the next steps to be able to register. I think then from that point on, once this is all filled out, it completes the registration. And then once it completes the registration, you're going to get an email. You're going to get an email. It takes a few minutes. I mean, we'd like things to be instant, but give it a few minutes to process and then send you an email. And then in the email, it'll give you instructions on how to get into your account for this Youth Mind Warrior program. And when you get into this account, you will see that in the Mind Warrior course, there are 4 modules. So there's a home page and 4 modules. In each one of these modules, there's a training video and actual worksheets to download, to use and print for your family to use, to walk your family through how to manage their emotions, how to manage their mind, so that they can manage their energy and mood. Because I want to help your kids and help your family so that they can be able to have a strong mind and have a very clear and open heart to communicate, connect, and to live life at the fullest. But this is my gift to you today, no cost at all, in honor of my sister, Robin. Go to 3ke.to/Mind Warriors, use the code 3KE gift and put it in that coupon code section right here. Make sure it goes right here, and it will put you in that you don't have to pay for this. And then you will get a mod, and then you get the whole course, It doesn't like wait, to send you, per week. The whole program is there. So you can go as fast as you want through the course, but I suggest taking the course 1 week per module for the next 4 weeks. And then it's going to give you a routine. Remember when I said information leads to application, so you can move to transformation? It's going to help you take what you're learning and put it into a routine, meaning daily exercises for your mind and your emotions. Daily exercise, so that your children at the ages of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way through teenager, doesn't matter how old they are, teach them how their mind works. Teach them how to manage their emotions. 2 very, very important aspects of a human being's life: how to manage their mind, how to manage their emotion, and reduce fear, eliminate worry, increase belief and faith. Help these children, help your teenagers to have the power to believe in themselves. Families are struggling, kids are struggling, adults are struggling, young adults are struggling. This is the training you need to have in your family. So there's videos to watch and worksheets to download, and there's a checklist of how to apply this as a routine. So this is a gift from me in honor of my sister, Robin, for you to be able to use, and you can share it. You can share it. Spread it as far as it can go. Tell people that they don't need to look around for what to do. Here it is. This is coming from a very highly experienced life coach who I put this program together specifically for kids and families. But share this link. You can text the link to your friend and give them this gift code. It has to spread. People need to know how this works. And I'm going to tell you, this is very detailed in how each one of these modules worked. It's very detailed, with explanation, with a training video for your kids to watch, and then for you and your family to be able to talk about and to discuss. Because now you and your family can be on the same page. You can have what to talk about, because I'll explain in these videos what's wrong, what's not working. Why doesn't your mind work? Why are you freaking out? Why are you so anxious? Why are you so scared? Why won't you do anything? And then here's the technique, here's the skill, here's the worksheet, here's the pattern, to give you exactly what to do so that you can be conscious and clear in your mind and feel motivated And also, so your emotions can be in the level of belief instead of the level of fear. There's too much fear being pushed on us as people, and there's too much stress and too much, all these things being pushed on the adults, and families are freaking out and they're falling apart. And people are falling apart. It's not okay with me. I'm not going to just sit around and see this happen. And so this is a gift. Share it with however many people you want. Tell them to make sure they put this in first and don't pay for it. I had somebody accidentally pay for it. I'm like, what'd you do that for? I said, put the 3K gift in there. It used to be for $20. Lots of people have purchased this. Lots and lots of people have purchased this, but times have changed. It's urgent that we get this information into people's hands so that they know what to do. And it literally, you're going to hear me talking like two teenagers. So as an adult, if you're like, whoa, Kirk's not talking to me as an adult, I'm talking to the kids of like, okay, this is what you do. This is how it works. This is why you do this. And then you do this. Now I want to tell you though, I kind of have a hidden agenda with this. So you got to hear my agenda. One of the parts in these modules is that I ask the teenagers and the kids to help a friend. I ask them, go teach your friend. I'm trying to turn your kids and your teenagers into life coaches, that they have the confidence to reach out to a friend or out to their teacher or out to whoever they see that is struggling, because this is going to open up your kids' eyes to see someone struggling and then be able to help them. And I've had so many families report back to me and email me and send messages to the office that their kids are teaching their friends. They're literally setting their friends down going, okay, this is how you do this. When you're really upset, this is what you do. When you can't manage your thoughts, this is what you do. I've even heard of kids teaching their teachers at school who are having a difficult day, hey, this is how you manage this. These kids are brilliant. They just need to know what to do. And most parents and families don't know how to teach their kids because they don't know what's wrong. That's why I built this course. That's why I put this together, is to empower the kids, empower the families, so that your family, you and your family, can have the insight, the knowledge, the experience, so that you can turn around and help your neighbors, your friends, your family before something happens, before they hit rock bottom, before they want to give up. There's too many people choosing suicide. Too many people. We have to turn around and help. We've got to help. And when you don't know what to do and you don't know what you're looking for, you feel helpless. But this is to help you feel empowered and have the knowledge to work with people. There's too many people dying. For whatever reason. And they could be better on the inside. They don't have to have so much struggle. It's just they don't know what to do. They found out that my sister Robin had passed away from just a very odd situation in her body with chemicals, and something that she had this illness that they had been working on, but it just escalated so fast, and they were just shocked at this illness that had taken her over. But her life ended, and she didn't know how to. I was trying to help her, but I don't know. Sometimes with family, they don't listen to you as much because they're family. But I was teaching her, and she was starting to make progress, and it just breaks my heart that she lived so many years of her life struggling on the inside when you don't have to. So you can see I'm all emotional about this. It's not only for my sister Robin, it's for all the other families and all the other people that I know that they just don't know what to do. They don't know how to help their teenager. They don't know how to help their kids. They don't know how to help their spouse. They don't know how to help themselves. So go do this. Get it. Use it. You'll see change. Within a short amount of time, you will see change. And if your kids will use this, you'll see change. But you have to use it. It's not hard. It's so simple, but just knowing exactly what to do. That's the trick. That's the hard part, is what exactly do you do? And it's outlined. It's outlined exactly what to do. Follow the instructions. If you follow the instructions and you do the instructions, you'll see the change. You'll see it happen. I'm just having tons of memories come to me of so many different people who have told me that their teenagers are struggling and their kids are struggling. And I only had like 20 minutes to like give them an answer. And so I decided I'm going to just build this program so it gives them all the answers. Just like put it in their hands. But it's just so tender and so heartbreaking to see people not know what to do when there is something to do. There really is something to do. You really can change. You really can change in a short amount of time if you know exactly what to do. And it's right here. Please get this for yourself. Please pass it on to somebody today. And seriously, you can pass this as far as you want. Make sure people know about this. And the next person you hear that's struggling, go, here's something I came across. It's free. Get it. Use it. And you don't have to sit there and try and explain everything to them. You can just tell them, hey, just get in here, watch this. Kirk will explain it to you. He'll show you what's going on. And it's okay for your kids to watch. Even when they're little tiny, they can watch. They can watch. There's a lot of people in the world. But what matters is there's people right in front of you who you wish you could help. And this is a way to help. And it'll show them exactly what to do. It explains the problem. It explains why the problem's happening. It explains the solution and then gives a worksheet for the solution. It's beautiful. I'm so tickled with it. So tickled with it. So that's a gift from me to you today. Thank you for showing up. Cool. And thank you, Robin, for teaching me. I don't know if you guys believe in guardian angels or what you think happens to people after they die, but I just heard my sister say, she always called me Kirky. She's my sister. And so she always called me Kirky. And so when I said, thank you, Robin, I just heard her say, she's standing right next to me. I heard her say, I love you, Kirky. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for helping people. So stinking awesome. So awesome. Okay, there you go. So go there, do that, and make sure you pass on that code. Because if not, they're going to be paying $20, which $20 is not even, that big of a deal for what you get with that. But use the code and make a movement. Let's help people know exactly what to do. There's no reason to be lost and confused in this world. There's no reason, except that so many media sources and outlets are scaring the crap out of people, and it freaks people out. And there's a lot of anxiety, fear, scared, worry, high levels of concern, but that does not help us make good choices. We need to be able to control our mind and control our emotions and control what we're doing next. Self-control is what's missing. Self-control of the mind, self-control of the emotions, and self-control of our decisions. For us as people to be strong, we must have higher levels of self-control. This program will help you have higher levels of self-control. It will. And your kids to have higher levels of self-control. Because if you can't have self-control inside your body, how are you going to have self-control outside your body? It starts on the inside. So I took some time there to share that with you, but it's a gift. Use it. It'll change your life in a huge way. I love teaching. I love the fact that we can be on the internet today and you're at your place and I'm at my place, but we're connected. And there's a lot of people in the world. So if you've ever wanted to change people's lives or help people too, and be a coach, be a teacher, be a facilitator, hang around me. I'll teach you how to do this. Maybe it's your passion and your mission too, to change people's lives. Okay, let's get into body language. All right, let's talk about body language and why. Well, we'll answer that question. Well, how do you do this? I'll answer that question for you too. But what's the purpose of it? Well, sometimes what happens is people are thinking, but they're not talking. There's stuff going on inside their head, but they're not talking. You know what I'm talking about. You probably have somebody in your life. You probably have somebody in your life right now, a friend, a family member, a coworker, that you can see them thinking, but they're not talking out their mouth. And it's kind of hard when you rely so much on what they say. If you still are relying more on what people say, I'm going to tell you right now, the world is going to get more tough for you because people are clamping up. They're not talking as much because there's so much going on inside of them. So to not be able to read body language means you're going to miss out on what's going on inside that person's mind. So what I'm saying is what goes on inside of a person's mind, if they don't say it, their body says it. That's the most crazy, awesome thing in the world is like, they may not be verbally saying it, but their non-verbal communication is still talking, even when their mouth is shut. Even when there's nothing coming out of their mouth, they're talking. I mean, look at these pictures. Is that guy talking to you? Is he sending you a message? Is she sending you a message? She's talking. She's telling you kind of what she's thinking about, right? It's like you could pick up just naturally with your own natural body reading skills, like something's up. So the appearance of a person gives an indication of what could be going on inside of the person. Let's say you see two people, having a discussion and they're like this. You pretty fast inside your head, you're like, oh, looks like an argument. Looks like something's going on, and you didn't have to listen to him or hear him. You can see his hands. You can see his stern jaw, his neck, his head leaning forward. You see her leaning forward. Her chin is up. She's looking him straight in the eye. Her arms are pulled back. I mean, you can see all these signals. You naturally have some, skill at reading body language, but it might not be at a high level, but you do have some level of reading body language. And it's part of our survival skill as a human being is to be able to assess what's going on so that we can determine if we're going to be safe or not, if we should move forward or back off. It's like a safety mechanism. It's a communication mechanism, but it's also a safety mechanism. Like what's guy number one saying? What's guy number two saying? See, you and I could come up with a story of what's going on. We could come up with a story because we kind of scan, analyze, and we jump to a conclusion, right? We could jump to a conclusion. We could jump to a conclusion here. I'm going to go back through these pictures. We could jump to a conclusion. Is it her birthday? Does she see the cute guy? Is she thinking about purchasing that car? And I know everybody's going to have a different interpretation, but we could jump to a conclusion. Is this guy mad at us? Is this your fitness trainer saying, get out of bed? or maybe he's your nutritional consultant saying, did you really eat that cupcake last night? Or maybe he's the lawn care guy going, there's garbage on your lawn. I don't know. We could jump to a conclusion. Every single one of these pictures, we could jump to a conclusion. Now, jumping to a conclusion is not bad. I mean, at least you're trying to come up with some explanation because they're not talking. You can't hear them. So jumping to a conclusion is what most people do. Now, I say most because there's some who just don't pay attention. But then there's people like you that pay attention, and whatever level of training or skill you have in body language, if you have no training in body language, you then are going to jump to a conclusion. But here's the problem. The problem is, you might believe that jumping to conclusion. If you jump to a conclusion, the danger is if you believe your conclusion is true. So one of the first steps about being able to read body language is still jump to a conclusion, but don't stop with that conclusion. But jump, meaning get there like, oh, this must be happening. But now you got to follow through to see if it is true. You're not quite sure if it's true. So the novice or the beginner at reading body language jumps to a conclusion and then believes their conclusion. That's a problem. Because what if here we jump to a conclusion and this guy's a jerk? This guy's a jerk. Look how he's treating her. Or maybe somebody else will jump to conclusion, wow, she's aggressive. And if we jump to that conclusion, what's going to happen if we believe that conclusion? We now have settled on a judgment. I can always measure someone, but I'm going to reserve judgment. I can always measure, like, oh, maybe it looks like they're arguing. That's a measurement. But I'm not going to come to a final judgment until I check in to see what's really going on. And if I never get to talk to these two people, I made a measurement, not a judgment. See, that's called self-control. Self-control is when you can measure but not judge. Because the measuring is not done. You're not done measuring. And if you had a chance to walk up and talk to her and talk to him and kind of get in the middle of this and ask questions, your measurement of them would become more refined and you would find out what's really going on. But reading body language, you do not want to jump to a judgment and be done. That you're being... You're just being what? Immature. I'm just going to call it immature. You're being immature to think that your quick measurement is accurate. I after 18 years, well, more than 18 years, but 18 years teaching it, in 18 years of teaching how to read body language, I still to this day, I still measure and I measure and I measure and I measure and I measure, and I reserve the judgment. I'm not going to come to a judgment yet because I'm going to keep searching and looking and asking for clarification. I measure, I look for clarification. I measure and look for clarification because I want to get to the truth. Now, this is the biggest part about reading body language is, what is the truth? There's my assumption, but what's the truth? What's the truth about this guy? What's up? I don't know. I could jump to a conclusion that he's my fitness trainer, and he's like, you need to do 20 more push-ups. I could assume, but that's not the truth. It's an assumption. So part of reading body language is a self-control aspect of going, okay, I can measure, I can jump to a conclusion, but that doesn't mean it's true. I got to keep searching for the truth, which means I'm going to have to ask some questions or check in or kind of watch a little bit longer to assess what's going on. But I'm going to check in enough times before I finally come to a judgment. So here's what goes wrong. Here's what goes wrong is people jump to a conclusion. They believe the conclusion, and then they tell everybody this guy's a jerk. And it's like, why do you think he's a jerk? Well, did you see his hands and the way he's like grinding his teeth? It's like, why is he a jerk? He's just upset or mad or sad or he's triggered, or like there's like 20 different emotions. We don't know which my emotion is. No, he's mad. Well, how do you know? Because look at him. It's like, no, that's a judgment. And I have to correct people when they're learning how to read body language. It's like, don't come to a conclusion yet. You haven't asked questions. Well, I just know that's the truth. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You have to keep measuring. Before you make a judgment, you got to be absolutely clear what's going on. So the problem is people jump to conclusions and then they believe the conclusions and then they spread the conclusion without ever really, I'm going to say it, fact checking their conclusion. So this is why people are terrible at reading body language, because they go with their first conclusion and they think that they're right. But they're right about false interpretation. Or let me just say faulty. That's a better word. Faulty interpretation. They're right about a faulty interpretation, but now they're going to act on it. You want to mess up your life? This is what you do. Have a faulty interpretation that you're acting on. It's like, what? That's going to mess you up. You're going to for sure go the wrong way. It's like somebody who's folding their arms. So many people jump to the conclusion that they're mad, that they're closed off. And it's like, that is such a messed up interpretation. When somebody has their arms folded, it means like one of like 20 different things. You have no idea what this means. He's not closed off. He's not mad. He's something, but he could be mad. He could be closed off. I don't know. I got to ask some questions. I got to see like before and after of this moment, or ask the guy a question, because who knows what this is, but I can narrow it down. Did you hear those words? Narrow it down. But I'm going to reserve judgment until further checking in and investigating and asking questions. I can narrow it down to some possible answers, which could help me. But the actual truth, not sure yet. Not sure. That's called self-control, is to keep yourself from such a quick judgment. And I'll tell you right now, it's like pulling back on the reins of a horse. Your horse or your mind might be so quick to just go, and you haven't learned how to rein in your mind. You haven't learned how. Like reading body language, you got to rein your mind in and go, whoa, no, we're not jumping to a conclusion. We're going to narrow it down. Here's the possibilities, and we're going to leave it open until we have a chance to clarify what the actual answer is. Boy, that's some self-control. What if everybody could have that self-control, that they could reserve the judgment, they could have some narrowed down, but they're not going to quite be on the complete judgment part yet. Boy, how many people do we know that could actually work a little bit better on that to improve their relationships, improve their communication, right? So Kirk, what are you doing here? Okay, so I just want to point this out about this jumping to conclusion, that reserve that. Wait. Don't go to judgment too fast. He could be mad. He could be closed off. He could be upset. He might have a tummy ache. He might be like, where's my keys? He could be anything. But when you catch your mind jumping to a conclusion, pull it back and go, Okay, that's one idea that this could be. That's one idea. What could be the other three? Like, come up with 3 or 4 interpretations. 3 or 4 interpretations. That way you're having some self-control and not just jumping to a final conclusion and acting on it because it's faulty interpretation. 3 or 4 conclusions. What's happening to her? What's going on? What's happening to her? 3 or 4 conclusions, not just one. Because this keeps your mind searching for the truth. That's what you want your mind to do, is be in search mode to analyze what's going on. Once you come to a judgment, your brain sits back down on the couch. When you come to a judgment, your brain is done. It's final. And it sits back down on the couch because now it doesn't have to do anything. It came to a conclusion. Yep, she's mad. Somebody took the last something. And then your brain sits down and you're left with that judgment. But you want to keep your brain up off the couch, searching. Make your brain work. What else could be going on with her? Did her friend not call her? Did the teacher give her a bad grade? She's not sure what flight to jump on to save money. I don't know. I'm going to come up with 3 or 4 different options, though, because I want my brain to be in search mode. But I can narrow it down to a handful of options. That is called self-control. Self-control. Okay, body language is called non-verbal communication. Wiggles, moves, twitches, stances. It's when they're not talking. Body language is non-verbal communication. A movement that indicates a message, like you see this picture of this person chewing their fingernail. That is called a tell. The tell is a telling signal. So it's a tell. So you're looking for the tell of the body. It's like it's telling the story. It like, here's a part of the story. So if we saw this picture of this guy chewing his fingernail, we could come up with a handful of conclusions of like, at this point, we're not judgment, but we're concluding to this point from what we know of just a picture. He could be nervous. He could be scared. He's wondering, do I ask this other person out for a date? You know, like, oh my goodness, do I make that phone call? We could just come up with a variety of ideas, but we're not judging yet because we don't know. We can't talk to him, but we could come up with a couple ideas. But the movement is called a tell. Now, in this experience with body language, what happens is the mind and the body felt something, but didn't express it. Or the person thought something and held it back. Felt it, didn't express it, thought it, held it back. So they didn't let it come out, right? It didn't come out. And so it's holding, the person is holding the information of what they felt and what they thought inside their body, thinking you can't see it. Like, if I don't say this, nobody will know. That's what she's thinking. Inside his head, oh, I'm not going to say what I'm thinking. Nobody's going to figure me out. But the truth is, you can't hide information in your head. It will come out. It just comes out in your movements. So our body talks about what's going on the inside. It moves and it shows, just like these 2 pictures. We can clearly see they are different poses, which tell different messages about different thoughts and different feelings. And so that's what we're looking for when we're looking at body language. And especially when I'm coaching. When I'm coaching and I'm on a Zoom call or I'm in a live appointment, you better believe I'm watching every single move that person's making. Everything they physically do. I'm not creepy. I'm not creepy. Okay. Maybe at the beginning when you're learning how to do this, you kind of stare But after a while, you get to where that's just something you're always noticing is the movements of people and what they're not saying, because people hold back a lot of information. They do, don't they? They hold back a lot of information. Okay, so getting into this, there's a couple rules about reading body language. Do not call out the gesture or movement. Don't say out loud, hey, you're scratching your ear. Hey, you just pulled on your hair. Hey, you just folded your arms. Don't say it out loud. You just don't do that. Number two, don't point out the gesture, meaning point like, oh, I see that. Number three, do not correct others in public. So you do not correct other people's body language in front of other people. You will become the jerk really fast. You just don't do that in front of family, in front of workers. You'll think like you're like some kind of like cool person because look, you can see everybody's body language, but they will begin to ignore you and stay away from you because now you are creepy and being a jerk. It's just not polite to do that. So don't do it. And then number four, ask permission before offering insight to what you see in their body language. If you're ever going to bring it up, specifically about their body language, 99.9% of the time, I don't tell the person that I'm watching their body language or what I see. I like 99.9% of the time, never give any clue that their body language is giving me insight to what they're thinking about, what they're holding back, what they're not sharing. Because I don't want to be caught reading somebody else's body language. Because once they can tell you're reading their body language, they go stiff or they walk away. They're done. So I do not say anything about their body language. Now, I have personal clients who will say, hey, I'm working on a project. There might be something I don't know about myself. If you see anything in my body language, will you please tell me? And when they ask for it, then I will say, hey, I just saw something. I saw you did this when you said this. So I will help a person if they're asking for it, and which can be super insightful. But that's the only time I ever bring it up is when they actually ask for it. So just some insight on some safety rules. That way you don't turn into a jerk. You don't need to be a jerk about this. It gets to be a ninja skill. When I was growing up, if you ever had some kind of cool skill, my friends and I always just called it a ninja skill. I don't know if it's really a ninja skill. I just think it's funny to say that. It's a ninja skill. So, okay, but let's look at this. Let's look at the different kinds of body language. Oh, wait, a couple more screens before we get to that point. I read body language so I can get more of the whole story of what's going on. People edit what comes out of their mouth. They don't tell the whole story. Now, is that lying? It could be. So with reading body language, can you catch when people leave information out or they alter the details? Yeah, you can. You can catch people as they're changing the story. You can see the signals that the details have been altered. And then you can always follow up and check into the story to find out what really is the true part of the story. But I read body language so I can get more out of the whole story, what's going on, because I'm a coach, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a friend, I'm a neighbor. I'm all about high performance, doing great things. So the way things function better is when you have truth. When you have anything less than truth, it causes problems. When you function with truth, it goes bigger, faster, better when there's truth. Anything less than truth ends up being problems. Miscommunication, misinterpretation, information held back, changing the details. I mean, all of that is going to cause problems. So that tells us that if we're going to solve problems, we want as much truth as possible to solve problems. And so I know that people edit what they say and they hold back what they say. So reading body language has given me an insight to more of the story that they didn't tell. Kirk, are you like spying on people? No, I'm listening with my eyes. I not only listen with my ears, I listen with my eyes and I listen with my senses. I listen with every aspect of me possible, because the more truth I can find, the faster we can solve the problem, the sooner we can get back to better results. Truth increases results. Truth causes progress. Anything less than that is going to cause problems, ongoing problems. So for people to make a change in their life, we have to get to the truth behind the problem. And that's why body language really matters for me. So let's look at this. So here is a little insight to body language. Okay, let me just make sure all my parts are here. So when a person is, so let's say this person asks this person a question. This person then begins to think about the answer. And generally, okay, so the study shows that on an average, a person will come up with 650 words per minute to say. Like the brain is processing a lot of information, and we're going to quantify that information into 650 words per minute that they could share with this person. So when you are talking to someone or asking questions, their subconscious is like processing about 650 words per minute of information that can be shared in response to what is being talked about. And so that's a lot. If you figure that's every minute, that's a lot of stuff going on inside a person's mind. So that 650 words would give a lot of detail to this person if this person said this, all those details. But there's a part in our mind that is a filter. And this filter filters words. I guess that's a good way to say that. It filters what comes out of the mouth. So this filter, these 650 words pass through this filter or come up against this filter. And on an average, what comes out is 150 words from 650. So of the 650 that was processed, because of the filtering, whatever the filters are and whatever the reasons for filtering, on an average, 150 words come out to be said. So you as a person, you're getting 150 bits of information from 650. There's a lot missing. That's a lot missing. So 150 comes out, 650 was down inside, 150 on the outside. So what does that leave? Well, that leaves 500 words per minute that are inside the body, still inside the body. Do you hear where that's at? These got said, so this came out of the mouth, but there's 500 that are still held back. And those 500 that are held back, they go into the body. And when they go into the body, that turns into movements and wiggles and stances. They are messages in the body. So these 500 words are in the body. So the body talks and speaks these 500. That's what the body's sharing, is what was held back. So what was said, we listen to. And if we don't watch body language, we miss out on 500 of those words per minute. There's a lot of information we're missing if we don't watch and read body language. So this explains why there's so many problems with relationships and family and coworkers and teams, is because everybody's calculating and working on things based upon the 150 words that come out. But yet most of it is down inside the person's body and being spoken by the body. Now, this is an average. This means that there's some people that are less than 150 and some people that are more than 150. And so that's the average, is 150 words that come out. So if you're on the outside only counting on the 150 that come from the person, you're working with a fraction of the information. There's details. And you know this. You hear people where you have to like ask more questions to get more of the details out. And asking questions do pull out more details. So it's not that you just sit there and just stare at a person's body. I'm not giving you permission to just stare at somebody's body, but I'm telling you, there's 500 words that you could be asking questions to get more of it to come out. And there's some of it that's just not going to come out because of how thick the filtering system has been put in place. They could be shy. Maybe they don't want to tell you. Maybe they don't trust you. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they don't want anybody to know. But there's going to be important details that are not said. And you won't hear them. And you won't get it out of them having them say it. It's just not going to come out because their filters are like, no, don't say it. And so they're held inside the body. So for me, as a entrepreneur and as a businessman and as a coach, a dad and a father and a neighbor, as I interact with people, I don't like only working on 150 words. I'm probably going to give advice that doesn't quite fit them because I'm only calculating my advice or my suggestions or my communication off those 150 words. And then we're going to have miscommunication happen. I'm going to give advice as a coach that's not going to be quite accurate. I mean, I could still give advice, but it's not going to be like the best advice because I'm functioning off only 150 words. But if I could pull off of their body language another 200 words, and I had a total of 350 of that 500, wow, I could be a better coach. If these 200 came from body language, this came from their mouth, and I've got 350, I could be a better dad. I could be a better husband because I'm getting more of the whole story. Because 650 is the whole story. And now remember, this is per minute. Per minute. That's how much is being processed. Well, Kirk, people can't talk 650 words per minute. I know. That means there's a lot more going on inside of a person's head than they will ever say. So if I'm not reading body language, I'm missing a ton of the story. And I'm over here with my little chunk trying to be a good dad, trying to be a good husband, trying to be a good coach, good business owner, and I'm trying to be this good person and communicate and like give advice that's going to help them and suggestions and connection and communication. I'm not going to do very well with such a small portion. Now, this is the average. What if you were getting like 47 words? What if that's what you're getting? Oh man, you're going to be hurting. And I know what some of you are thinking is like, Kirk, but what if it was 0? Like maybe your husband doesn't talk to you. Maybe your teenager doesn't talk to you. Maybe your wife is just quiet. She doesn't talk. Your spouse, your partner, maybe your business partner doesn't talk. And you're like, you need to tell me what's going on. And they give you like this small little piece. And you're frustrated and you feel disconnected. You feel like you don't know what's going on. If you could watch and see the value of watching, you could get more of the story. And the better you practice, or the more you practice, the better you get. We've heard this all of our life. The more we practice, the better we get. And this applies here also. And this is a very important area of your life. It's called communication. It's called information and communication. And I'll tell you what's disappearing. What's disappearing is looking at each other. Because you know where we spend most of our time? Looking at our phone, looking at our computer, looking at the TV screen. People are losing the ability to read body language. And if they lose the ability to express themselves, and people are not reading body language, we're looking at zeros. And you know what that means? People are going to separate. People are going to argue. People are not going to, they'll text each other, but they won't get clear details because there's so much left out. So we're actually pulling apart as a human race because we're staring at our phones and we're relying on texts, emails, and all other communication device. It's just happening. So when I'm with my children, my grandchildren, my wife, family, my team, doing a coaching appointment over Zoom, I can see them. I can see their body language. I'm watching because I'm getting as much as I can out of that 500 that's in there, or however many's in there. I'm going to get as much as I can because I am not going to sit here with zero. It is up to me to raise the amount of information I get. It's up to me to get it, not for them to give it to me. Communication is up to me, not up to them. I can't control them, but I can activate my eyes, activate my ears, activate my senses to read as much information as possible so that I can get as many details as possible in this communication so I can give the best suggestions, the best advice, and know what's going on. That's the key, is knowing what's going on with this person. Because if you don't know what's really going on, you will be deceived. You can be tricked. You can be manipulated. You can be controlled because you're functioning off of low information. You're not going to be able to make the best decision. But the more you could read from the person, more you can read, you could go from 150 to 350, which means you can make better decisions about people, better decisions about what to do and what not to do. Anytime I'm buying something, like if I'm buying a car or I'm making a big purchase like that, I'm watching that salesperson's body language closely. Do they have good eye contact is a huge one. Can they face me? Because if they can't face me and they can't look at me, something shady is going on. So I'm hearing them talk, but if they're not looking at me, they can't face me, and they can't do that. It's like, oh, something's on up. I gotta ask questions. I just feel so bad for people who can't read body language, who don't even see the importance of it, because they're functioning on such low information to make decisions in their life. But I have saved myself so many huge problems because I caught what was going on in the person's body language. And I've also been able to have incredible opportunities because I saw what was going on in people's body language. So this is huge. I hope this makes sense. In fact, in the chat box, tell me, does this make sense what I'm showing you? Because I want to kind of give you the insight of where body language comes from and why it happens and where it happens, and kind of some math here, of how much you're getting and how much you could be getting. This does make sense? Okay, I see your comments there. Okay, super good. Because with kids who don't talk, or teenagers, or spouse who's having a bad day, and so much. And especially if you're a coach and you're coaching someone, if you're coaching them on 150 words or less, your coaching is not going to be in the right area for what they need. You're going to be off because you're functioning on lower details. Same with the advice with anybody else in your life. Lower details you're getting, going to be less accurate in what you're saying. Higher details, you're going to be more accurate, more precise, higher quality. I was teaching a seminar, and there was about 750 people in the room. And this lady raises her hand, asks a question, and I had her stand up. We had the microphones go out to her. And I'm up on stage, and she's, like fifth row back, and she raises her hand. And the moment she raised her hand, I was watching how she raised her hand. Then I watched how she stood up. I watched how she handled the microphone. I'm watching all of this so I can try to learn her as fast as possible. And she then goes to ask this question. And in asking the question, there was moments where she would pause and kind of redirect. And in her body language, I saw that the question she was asking was not the question she wanted to ask. But she asked the question. And my response was, how about you ask me the question you really want to ask? And she's like, what do you mean? I go, you have something you want to say, because I can see and hear that you're not really getting to the real question. And she just stood there and she went, how'd you do that? I go, I'm listening to you. I'm watching you. And she goes, okay, well, here's my real question. And now we actually talked about her real question. And that's just a simple example of, I didn't just take what she said. I saw other things happening. So she could have asked the first question, and we could have went down that road and talked about that, and then she would have sat down. But there was something else she wanted to ask. And so we skipped past the surface question and we got to the deeper question. And the deeper question caused a change for her. And so if I only go off of what people say, I'm believing that they're giving me all the best details and that they're super accurate with what they're saying. But I know better. I know people don't know that their brain filters. Their brain filters information. They don't know that, but I know that. And I know that there's surface things that people talk about, but that's not what they really want to talk about. So people have surface conversations. Their thoughts are edited. That what comes out of their mouth is edited. And I know that about people, but they don't know that about themselves. And so I'm looking for what do they really want to talk about? What's the real problem, not the surface problem? What's the real conversation, not just the surface conversation? But I'm patient with people because I know they're trying to stumble through all those things. And it's okay. I'm there to help them communicate. I'm there to help them get to what really we want to talk about, to create the biggest change, the biggest improvement, the biggest connection possible. So I'm going to point out some things now for you to watch for. So now that we've talked about where this comes from, it helps you have a better understanding of wow, this is real stuff. This is real. Okay. So 2 of these screens, and then I'm going to show you some charts, and you'll want to take some pictures of these charts. Okay. You live in patterns. Those patterns have details to them, like what you do and how you do things. Poor results equals time to change the pattern. You with me so far? You live in patterns. I live in patterns. Those patterns have details like this is what you do. This is how you think. And it all leads up. These are patterns we live, and then patterns turn into results. But if you have poor results in your life, that means you have a poor pattern. You're not a bad person. You just have a bad pattern. So if you don't have money, you have a poor money pattern. If you don't have any time, you have a poor time pattern. If you struggle with expressing love and feeling love, you have a poor love pattern. It's all patterns. So every pattern has details to it. Like there's just parts and pieces to how that pattern works. So poor results means it's time to change a pattern. Missing details. Like if you and I were talking and you're like, hey, Kirk, I really want to increase my income. You're going to share with me some of your details about your pattern, about money and what you do with money and how you earn money. But I know you're going to be not giving me the whole story. So reading your body language is going to help me see where else I need to ask questions to get more details. Because if I'm missing details, it's going to be less possible to change. because I don't know what advice to give you. And so if I'm missing details, it's just not going to be as fast of a change and as accurate as a change. So reading body language helps me get more details so that I can be a better coach for you. So reading body language helps me see more of the details so that I could help you change your pattern so you can do better as a human being. So that's why I believe every person who's a coach, a facilitator, a parent, a manager, a leader in any way must increase your skill in reading body language. And to me, I count that as coaching. No matter what all that is, you really are there to help somebody do better. So that's called coaching. Coaching and body language goes together. And if you ever want to be a better coach, you want to learn from a coach who knows how to read body language. So if you're looking to learn from somebody, make sure you're checking in to see, hey, are you an expert at reading body language? Could you teach me how to do this? Because it's a massive part of being a parent, being a manager, being a leader, being a facilitator, being a coach, is to have the skill of getting more information from people. If not, you're going to perform poorly as a parent, as a manager, as a leader, a coach, a facilitator, because you're missing details. So you get to upgrade your skills in this area, and I could train you. I could help you. I'm available every week to answer questions about body language. Every week I do a training every Wednesday. Every Wednesday morning, I do live Q&A in my course called Coach Fast Track. And those people can ask me any questions. If they want to ask me questions about body language, I would answer them every single week. I've been teaching and coaching on body language for over 20 years. I know a lot about this. So you could have tons of training on this. You could, tons and tons, which would make you better in everything that you do. Okay, next thing. When you're reading body language, you want to take a picture of this as soon as if you're taking notes, you want to take notes on this for sure. But take a picture of this if you're using your phone or your screen on your computer. This is really good. So I notice the topics that, if I'm in a topic about money, just because that's just something that most people wish they were better at with money. So let's say we're talking about money and we're using language of money. I'm watching your body language to listen to, first listen to your verbal response as we talk about money, but I'm also watching your verbal reactions, right? So there's verbal response and verbal reactions that happen in the topic of money. I'm also watching your nonverbal or your body language response to money and your body language reaction to money. So as I'm talking to you, I'm going to pretend like I'm coaching you about money, and we're going to help upgrade your skill and your experience with money, your patterns. I'm listening to what you say, but equally, I'm watching how you physically respond and physically react. And I'm going to show you those reactions in just a moment. So I'm going to listen and watch 50-50. 50% on what you're saying, 50% on what your body's saying. It's 50-50 for me. Most people are like 90% what people say, 10% what the body language says. You want to get to 50-50 to what a person physically does is as equal and as important as what they said. Okay, then I watch for what nonverbal or body language tells that didn't come out in the verbal tells. So let me just say that a different way. What did I see in their body language that they did not say? They didn't talk about. Like I saw something and it's like, okay, that body said something about money that was this, but they didn't say it. Like, for example, this one guy I was coaching and we're working on his money patterns. And I asked him the question, so how would you describe your pattern with money? Just as a simple question. And he goes to say, oh yeah, this is what I do. And I check my account twice a month and I look over my balance and I see what my expenses are. And the whole time he's talking like this, he has his hand over on his ring finger, twisting his ring. He's not saying anything about his marriage. He's not saying anything about his spouse, but he's telling me how he reviews his money. But he's sitting there twisting his ring with his hand. He's indicating his ring, but he's not talking about what the discussion is like with his spouse. So I keep talking okay, well, what else do you do to, about your money? And is there anything else about your money that I need to know about that's tough or difficult? And he keeps touching his ring finger. So he did not say anything about his marriage and money. Now, I did not ask the specific question, but I left it wide open that he could easily share it, but he held it back. So at the end of everything he could have shared, I then asked the question, so tell me about your marriage with money. And then he reacted. He pulled back and he grabbed his ring. He grabbed his ring finger. He didn't know he was doing that. And he's like, what do you mean about my marriage? He's questioning me the fact that I'm picking up on this or saw it. And I said, well, yeah, tell me what it's like between you and your spouse with money. And he goes, why are we talking about her? I'm the one here. I said, well, I want to know what's going on between money, you, and your spouse. And then his face got red. He wouldn't look at me anymore. And obviously I struck a nerve. So he didn't tell information. He was talking about money and his body language was saying, hey, there's something up with me and my wife. And so something was being said, right? It was being said. What nonverbal tells didn't come out in the conversation. So another way to say this is what happened in the body language that they did not freely bring up. He was thinking it. That's why he was rubbing his ring, twisting his ring, pulling on his ring while we're talking about money. It was not this soft, gentle movement, but he never brought it up, but it crossed his mind because his body language showed it crossed his mind. So as a coach, I saw the signal. After he was done talking, I opened up that conversation. Later, he said, why did you switch the topic to talk about marriage? And I said, oh, I just thought it would be a good thing to do. I didn't tell him because he didn't ask me a body language question. And I'm not going to reveal my ninja skills because he's going to hold back. I'm not going to tell him. Not going to tell him unless he specifically says, what did you see in my body language? Then I'll answer a body language question. But if he says, why did you change the topic? I said, well, I just thought I should change the topic. I don't just reveal my body language stuff because then he could just show up and be like this frozen statue and he doesn't even wiggle anymore. Okay, so next is to interpret the physical action. He was rubbing, tugging, pulling on his ring. So I knew something was going on with his marriage, and then interpret the specific area of the action, which was the ring. So there was the tugging and then it was the ring. And it's like, uh-oh, there's a push-pull going on in his marriage about money because he was doing that to his ring. I knew that was going on in his marriage. But again, I'm just trying to come up with 3 or 4 different conclusions before I ever come to a judgment, because then I'm going to ask a question to see what's really going on. But this is like the series of thoughts I go through when I'm watching or talking to somebody and having a discussion with anybody anywhere. I'm always doing this. My brain just is wired to do this all the time. So get a picture of this. It's just like the process of what you're going to start to practice and look at when it comes to you and listening to people 50-50. 50% of what they say, but 50% of what their body is saying, to see if it comes out in the talking or not. And then now oh, there's something going on because they didn't address that. I'm going to ask a question about it, but never, ever telling that you saw it in their body language. Now, when it comes to body language, these are the main factors I watch for. They have always been the main factors for me of what to watch for. So movements to pay attention to. I definitely watch closely for any signal that they reach up and touch around their eye. As soon as they reach up and touch around their eye, it tells me they're not seeing what's going on in the conversation. They're missing some details. They can't see it. They don't understand it. It's a tell signal that I need to back up and explain the information again and add some different details. And don't leave this spot until they understand. So if they touch or rub their eye, it tells me they can't see what I'm talking about. And it tells me, go back and do it again. There's something confusing about what I said. The head, if they itch their head, scratch or itch their head, tells me that there's thoughts of what I'm saying that are not connecting. Something's not quite connecting. And so if they scratch their head, I ask them, I immediately just stop and go, hey, is this making sense? Or is there anything I'm missing here? But I want to clarify because they just scratched their head. And I don't care if it's that they didn't shower or they're sweaty or a mosquito bit them in the top of the head. I'm still going to stop and say, hey, how's this going? Is this making sense for you? Because I want to make sure that they're staying connected to me, and scratching their eye or touching their eye or around their head is a quick indicator that something's up. Something's not quite connecting. If they scratch or tug their ear, tells me something that I just said has either rattled them or bothered them or irritated them, or they're trying to hear what I'm saying and they need some help in understanding it. So eyes, head, and ears are a quick indicator of levels of understanding. And if I say something that bugs them, they're going to scratch their eye, head, or ear. So I could either be bugging them, or it's irritated them, or they're not understanding what's going on. But if they touch their eyes, head, or ears during the conversation, I pause and clarify and make sure that everything understands and ask, all right, so is everything okay? Or is we good to move on? Because if they touch their eyes, head, or ears, and I keep going, I could lose them, or something happened inside of them that I'm going to miss. But those are super important. And then the neck, if they ever reach up and rub their neck or touch their neck, it tells me that I am challenging their way of thinking because I'm causing them to turn their point of view. And once their point of view gets to a point where they're done with my point of view, they touch or rub their neck. Because that they have their own point of view, and I'm now starting to challenge their point of view. And now I know I better stop and find out what their point of view is. If they touch or rub their neck, I stop, find out what their point of view is. If I keep going, they're not listening. Shoulders, if they rub or scratch their shoulders, they're literally telling me I don't want to do it. I see clients when I'm holding appointments where I'm talking about action steps, and they will reach up and rub or scratch or touch their shoulder in some unique way. And they're literally telling me, don't give this responsibility to me. And they could be saying, yeah, I'll do that. But they're rubbing their shoulder. And it's like, you're not going to do that. I can tell if they're going to do their action steps or not. I could totally see it if they do any of that. If they touch their neck or their shoulders, or if I'm giving them their action steps or the plan, and they look away to the left or the right towards their shoulder, it totally tells me they're not going to do it. So then I pause and I go, hey, tell me why you won't do this. I don't even tell them. I just go, hey, tell me what would stop you from doing this, or why this action step would be difficult, because they reference their shoulder, and that's where responsibilities get put. Okay, hands. I pay attention to hands a lot. And there's so much about hands. It would take me 4 hours to go through everything about hands. I'm going to come back to that. Legs. Usually these days I'm holding Zoom appointments because I coach people all over the place. And so all over the world. So I don't see their legs. They're sitting at a desk or they're sitting at their computer. I don't see their legs. But if I was holding a live appointment, which I do with my personal clients, if I see a live appointment and they're shifting their legs, and like if we're sitting at a conference table, I can't quite see their legs, but I can see their body move. And if their feet start to move around a lot, it's too much information. I've overloaded them. Or they're disagreeing with what I'm teaching for whatever reason. But they don't even know they're doing these moves, right? You got to remember, the people don't even know they're doing these moves. You're just seeing this reaction happen that comes from their subconscious, from the details in their subconscious. And so if they're moving their feet around a lot, or their legs around a lot, and I can see their torso moving a lot, it's like, uh-oh, something's up. So I stop, see what's going on, see what's kind of rattling them, see what's stirring, see what's happening before I even move on, because I got to clarify what's going on in that moment. And the same thing with feet. There's lots of things about feet, but these days you usually are going to be at a table, or you're going to be, and we're specifically talking about coaching today. You're going to be at a table or on a Zoom call. And so you're probably not going to see their feet that much. Let me go back to hands for a moment. Whenever you do see their hands, whenever you see their hands and you're on a Zoom call or an in-person appointment, what you want to do is you want to watch the physical action or the reaction that happens as you're going through different topics. If you ever see a quick change of hand movement, their thoughts have changed. They switched topics in their head. So whenever the hands dramatically change the movements that they're doing, you need to stop and ask them, hey, what are you thinking about? You need to find out, what did they switch to? You could be talking about money and coaching them about money, and all of a sudden they start doing something with their hands. They're like, wow, this topic just caused them to change. And it's like, hey, tell me what you're thinking while we're talking about money. And all of a sudden they're off thinking about a relationship that they have. So you got to stay with the person. And the way you tell what's going on inside the mind in the topic is notice the hand movements. If they start scratching or picking or pulling at their skin, anywhere on their body, their skin, or whatever they're holding on to, if they scratch, pull, poke at, kind of, they're just kind of like fiddling aggressively with, you are pushing them too far. Meaning they're starting to react on the inside emotionally. And so you need to talk about those emotions that are going on as you're talking about that particular topic. And sometimes I'll just back off the conversation until I see the aggressiveness calm down in their hands. And then I can see we're back to the emotions coming down. But I will circle back around and go, hey, what did you feel? What did you feel when we were talking about time management or money or relationships? And because I saw the emotional responses that they got very picky with things and aggressive. So that's another one that I watch for. Eye contact. Let me just switch over here to my eye chart. This one has been really, really helpful for me, is as I'm talking to them, while they're thinking, their eyes look in different directions. I know this is crazy to think, but just go with me on this. I've learned over the years that there literally is a library in our head. And when we pose a question to someone, they look in their library for the book that has the answers. So they literally look around. It's interesting that why would the eyes have to move when they're searching for an answer? Because it's like, are they searching for an answer somewhere in their head or somewhere around their head? Yes. Eyes move around to look for the answer. Now, this is kind of a dramatic piece, but I want to tell you this story. I was sitting across a table from a gentleman, and we were talking about his business, and he needed a particular product for his business. And I asked him, I said, have you been thinking about the different products that you could do? And he says, yeah, but I don't like any of them. And I said, none of them? And just then his eyes looked up to this area, and then he looked back at me. So I know he just looked at something. He looked at one of the products. He just told me he didn't like the products, but he just looked. So it told me he just looked at something, but he didn't say anything. So I said, is there one of your products that probably is the one you want to go with, but you kind of just for some reason don't want to do it? And he's like, yeah, how did you know that? Because when I posed the question, he looked somewhere. He looked at something. And I wanted to know, what did he look at? I mean, I'm really fascinated when I'm talking to people and I'm watching where they look and I see all the things that they are looking at, but then people usually don't talk about what they saw or what they're looking into. So like with this gentleman, and he looked, but he didn't say anything. And I brought it back up and I said, hey, is there something that you do have that you maybe for some reason it's kind of not quite ready or something? He's like, yeah, actually there is. Well, what do you need help with? And then we talked about the product and what's going on with his team. And as we're talking about it, we found a solution and that became his product. But I was able to help him recognize he did have something. He didn't know how to talk about it, but he did talk about it. We solved it. And then he was able to move on with that product. But I brought it up because I saw him look. So when you're coaching and you're posing questions, if you can see their eyes, like where the eyes are moving, and you posing questions because the question causes them to go search. So when they go to look, they're searching for the answer and they're actually looking at different bits of information. If they look back at you and they say nothing, they just saw a bunch of stuff, but they didn't share it with you. So it's okay to pose more questions of like, hey, so what did you find when you were thinking? What'd you look at? What'd you see? But you don't address that their eyes were going all over the place. But so many times that has helped me as a coach to help people look back at their idea. There was a woman I was working with, and she was like super nervous about what she was doing. And every time I said, hey, when do you want to launch this? She would look in a certain spot every time. And I'd say, well, when do you want to launch this? And she would say, I don't know. And I said, wait a minute. I think you do know. And the reason why I did know is because she would look in a particular spot and then come back and say, I don't know. And I says, now, give me the idea, and I'm not going to hold it to you, but I bet you have an idea when you really want to start. And she goes, well, yeah, I think I really should be doing this in 3 weeks from now. So she had the answer, but she didn't know if she could share the answer. For whatever reason, her filter said, don't share the answer. She might have been nervous that I was going to like hold her to it or push her to do it or, highly motivate her. But I saw her look, but she didn't share. That has been a big one for me as a coach is if they look and they don't share, I get to ask a couple more questions around that to cause them to be able to go, hey, it's okay to share. I can be safe here to share. But that has been a fantastic one for me is to really pay attention to their eyes in that particular area. Okay. Side to side, you see where it points to the left or right. Anytime they look directly to the side, left or right side, what's happening is they're listening to other people's advice inside their head. Now, I don't know who that person is, so I ask. If I see them look to the side, I'll ask, hey, so whose advice are you following? Or who do you go to for advice? Because it's important to me to find out who's involved with this. Like if somebody else is giving this person advice, and I saw that from the looking to the left ear or the right ear, it helps me understand who's affecting their thinking and who's affecting their decision-making. Two other big ones here really quick is up. When they look up, I don't talk. When they look up, I quit talking because I know they're in the mode of receiving an idea or inspiration. And I stop. I literally will just stop in the middle of my sentence. If they look straight up, I just stop talking. And as soon as they're done receiving the download, they'll look back at me. And then my very first question when they look back at me is I'll say, what'd you get? And it's so crazy. They go, what do you mean? I go, you just got something. Like, how did you know? I go, I can just tell you got something. I don't tell them I saw them look up. But when they look up, I quit talking. When they look back at me, I just say, what'd you get? I think you got something. You got an idea. What'd you get? Now, the other one is when they look down. When they look down, I know they're looking into their emotions. And when they look down and they're in their emotions, I talk slower. And if they stay looking down for a little bit of time, like 5, 6, 7 seconds without saying anything, I will back off and not say anything and give them like a moment because they're feeling, wrestling, experiencing some emotion. They're not actually listening. That's been really helpful as a coach, in person or through Zoom when it's one-on-one. Because it's very respectful to respect people when their emotions are moving or their emotions are coming up. If you just keep talking during that moment, it's confusing to them. So reading body language gives you a way of respecting the person and seeing what's happening. It's really cool how you can be more connected to people just by watching. Now, a lot of the body language moves, if you just will start to pay attention more than what you've done before and just asking yourself, I wonder what that movement means or tells. Get your mind to search. When you see somebody, you're at a restaurant, you see the table next to you, and you see somebody do a particular movement, ask yourself, I wonder what that means or what that signal is telling me. Just always pose that question when you're in those moments so that you can cause your mind to search for what the answer is. You want your mind to be searching, looking, compiling, analyzing, but not come into a final judgment, but to be in search mode for what is that message. Become a listener. Become an observer to make you a better listener. Because if you, whatever position you're in, whatever you're doing, the more you can observe and the more you can listen, the more accurate the details are going to be, and you can be better at your performance as a parent or a leader or as a coach, facilitator. But these kind of skills, they make you a better person in how you serve people. And then when you have your advice that you go to give. Now, this is the cool part because, as a coach, I like to train coaches to have options of what advice to give, what training to give, because there's different techniques to teach people about how to improve their life or how to change their patterns. There's different techniques. And the more experienced you become as a coach, you begin to have a library of techniques. And so when you are with someone and you are listening, you then start to realize that you see the problem that the person's facing more clearly, which then helps you know which of the techniques you have will work best for them. That to me is like top level coaching. When you have techniques to select from and you are interpreting and listening at a high level, now you can match their challenge with the best technique. Now, with that technique and that particular problem and challenge they're facing, now that is more specific advice, which then when they use that technique, it changes the pattern they're in. They start to have different results. They write you a testimonial. They love you. They tell people about you. Now, by word of mouth, they're spreading the word. You're a fantastic coach. But it's because you can listen. You're not just listening with your ears. You're watching their eyes. You're watching their hands. You're watching where they're touching and itching or scratching. And you're knowing, oh, I got to stop. I got to listen. I got to ask questions. Because your observation is tuning you in. That's what this does. Reading body language tunes you in to people. So you can see what they need because you can see what's going on. You got more of the details. So you can be more tuned in. Then from your selection of skills and techniques and modalities, you're selecting the technique and skill or modality that will serve them the best. It'll be more accurate. And the more accurate we can be as coaches, the better work we can do. That's how I think. That's what I see what we ought to be doing as coaches is learning how to tune into people even better. But that means we need to be listening, not just with our ears, but with our eyes and our senses. So that being in tune with the person, we can select from all the skills and techniques we've learned that one is what they need to do next. And so now it's more of a custom coaching experience because it meets the needs in the moment. People are at different levels with different things going on in their life. And I really believe that we need to become custom coaches, that we can address that with specific techniques because we are so in tune to people. And that's what I work on, is becoming more in tune through listening with my ears, listening with my senses, listening with my eyes, watching, but not being creepy, right? And not calling out people's body language and being some kind of, exhibition kind of a thing. Is like, no, that's not what you're doing. You're using this to become in tune. There was a guy one time who was mocking me about body language. He goes, "You don't need this stuff." And it's like, really? What would happen if we had no nonverbal cues to work off of, and we only went off what people said? We'd be in a mess. There are too many manipulative people in the world. There are too many people who edit out important information. And there are too many struggling individuals who just don't share. They need people who are more in tune to see what's going on, not just hear what's going on. There's 3 ways of listening: hearing, seeing, and feeling. Hearing, seeing, and feeling are all different ways of listening and becoming in tune. And I coach people how to do this, how to activate these senses, how to use these to become more accurate and become a custom coach, not just a cookie cutter coach. You don't want to be a cookie cutter coach because it's like, oh, you don't stand out. You're not different. You're just like everybody else. And then people skip over you because they're looking for someone who can understand them. That's who people are looking for. And people are looking for coaches all the time. People everywhere are just like, wow, I've got to have someone help me. But then they think, who do I want to help me? Well, I want somebody who can understand me quickly. That's why you want to improve these skills of listening through hearing, seeing, which is body language, and also the senses of feeling. And this is what I've been doing for the last 18 years. And when I meet somebody who's like, oh, Kirk, I just want to be more in tune to people. How do you do that? You better believe I'm going to teach them about body language. You better believe I'm going to cause them to open up their senses and hear with their senses, and then tune their ears in so they can hear what's being said. And if you're somebody like that, if you're somebody like, wow, I want that, I want to do that. Oh, we got to hang out. We have got to hang out. We have got to talk, because I could talk for hours and days and weeks and months and years on this, because it's changed my life, not just as a coach, but also as a dad. A dad to my, I've got 3 boys and I've got grandkids, and I'm glad I have these skills. And then when I'm out in the world, I'm glad I have these skills. My wife and I were traveling in a different country at one point, and we were in a situation, and I told Kim, grab your bags. We are moving out of the way. She's like, what's going on? And I said, I just saw some things that were just move. And we got ourselves out of a situation. And as we were further away, we looked back and saw what happened. We could have got seriously hurt. But because it was just natural for me, because I practiced this so much, I don't have to try. It's because it's become more natural because of practice, but it literally saved us from getting hurt. I saw what was going on before I heard what was going on. I saw it. So this is a skill to use to become in tune with people for all different reasons. But if you are a coach and you're looking to be trained to become a custom coach, not a cookie cutter coach, we should hang out. We should really, you really got to connect with what I'm doing and how I'm doing things, so you could really just soak this up, because it's really something natural that you could learn how to do in what you're doing. My wife and I, we were up camping, and we decided we didn't want to make dinner. So we drove down to town to go out to eat, and we're driving back to the trailer. And I asked her, I said, hey, where's the key? And she says, to what? And I said, to the camper trailer. And she goes, I put it on the counter so you could pick it up. And I said, I didn't pick it up. She goes, well, it's in the trailer on the counter. I said, okay, we just locked the keys in the trailer. So on the way up to the trailer, I said, hey, jump on the phone and see if we can call a locksmith to come up to get us into our trailer. Cause I don't want to break a window. I don't want to do that. Let's see if we can get a locksmith. So at 10:30 at night, we're calling for a locksmith. So the locksmith says, we wake up a locksmith and he's like, yeah, I can come up there. We told him the campground, the campsite. And he says, yeah. And I said, how much is it? And he says, I'll tell you when I'm done. I was like, oh boy, but we can't get in our trailer, right? And we're not going to sleep in the truck. So we wait and the locksmith shows up. He's kind of in his hoodie and sweats, right? He gets out of his truck. He's got this little black bag in his hand. He looks at the trailer. Now I'm timing him. I'm just curious. I'm going to time this guy. He gets out of his truck because I'm going to time him because that is going to help me determine how much this is worth, right? He opens his black bag. He looks at the trailer up and down, side to side. He selects this piece of metal. He walks up, he sticks it in, wiggles it around, turns it, unlocks the trailer. 52 seconds. And I'm thinking 52 seconds, this is giving me like $20. This is giving me like $25. Like, this is it. Like, that was fast. We just saved a ton of money because he was so fast at this. And he goes, I said, so how much was that? And he goes, $150. I was like, what? $150? And I said, okay, 150. And he goes, yep. And I go, that took you 52 seconds. And he goes, yep. I know exactly what tool to use. I paid the 150 happily. But what he said has stuck with me over the years. He knew exactly what tool to use. He looked at the trailer. He made an assessment. He knew the tool to use. I want to be like that. I want to be like that. I want to be somebody who I can be with someone and be listening to somebody and all the tools and techniques and all the skills I have as a coach. I want to be able to open up my bag and be able to listen to someone and then select the right tool to unlock them. I want to help unlock my children. I want to unlock my spouse, unlock the people I talk to, unlock their potential. But if I could gather a bunch of tools, but if I don't know how to watch and listen and assess, I might not select the right tool. Or maybe I just don't have enough tools. Maybe I need help with that too. But I'm like, I do have skills, but I want to be able to select the right one and be able to be that custom coach. If you're thinking this way, if you're like, wow, I want to be this way. I want to be able to select the right tool and technique. I want to be able to make it happen that way. I'm going to say to you right now, you can still upgrade your skills. You're not done yet. Just like I said at the beginning of this training, you're not done yet. No matter where you're hanging out and the way people think, you can still move your skills up. You can. Even though you might be around people that are not, your skills could improve. They could. Your listening skills, your body language skills, your coaching skills, being in tune with people, you could move up. And the more you move up, you've got all these people you can help to help every single one of these people move up. But if you're down here trying to help people move up, I mean, that's good. You're trying to do something. But what you've got to do is move yourself up. Then you can walk people through the path that you just went through. Custom coach, not cookie cutter coach. Custom coach. You can move a lot of people if you will move first. Upgrade your skill, upgrade how you do things. Have a weekly discussion, have weekly accountability of how you are actually coaching. Maybe you're a good coach, but it's time to be a great coach. Maybe you're thinking about being a coach and you're like, well, maybe I should do this. Maybe I shouldn't. It's time to get started. The world's having some crazy things happen and it's time to get started. It's time not to wait to move up to that next level, whatever that next level is for you. Even if right now you already have high paid clients, you could move up your skill. And even if you're brand new, there's always the next level to get to. But if this interests you, if the time I've spent with you has value and you're like, whoa, I like this, I really like this, then you're set up to be a coach. You are. And if you're like, but Kirk, I can't because I've got a messed up life too. I know. Let's go back to this just for a moment. To this person who's at this level, you're going to think you're messed up. Okay, watch. Super important. Watch. If this person is around you, you're going to feel messed up. If this person's around you, you're going to feel like you know a lot. How does that happen? It's called comparison. As long as you compare yourself in a unhealthy way to people who are better than you, and it's unhealthy, you're going to feel like you can't do anything. But you could compare yourself to somebody up here and inspire you to move up. But you also are an inspiration to this person, and all these people are being inspired because where you're at. You got to stop thinking about what you don't have and think about what you do have. Because if you were to think about what you do have, you could inspire so many people to move, to change, to be better. But you got to get off that whole thing about, oh, I'm not as good as this person. You are ahead of a lot of people. A lot of people. Turn around. Look at all the people who are behind you that could learn from you. Now, if you didn't hear what I just said, you're not ready for this. Okay? It's not the right time for you if you didn't hear what I just said. But if this does resonate with you and you're like, Kirk, yep, I'm unfairly judging myself. I'm comparing myself to the person who's in front of me. I really want to help people. I can see that there's lots of people to help. I don't know where to go and what to do. Well, I can train you, and you could be an informal coach, a formal coach, a professional coach. You could do this to help people. You could learn techniques. There's 3 distinct techniques that types of techniques that I train people on how to do. There's empowerment techniques, let go techniques, and coping techniques. All of these help people improve their life. So if you don't know what to do, I can help you. I can show you the cycle of goals and how to help people accomplish goals. I can teach you how to manage your time in a coaching appointment. I can help you in understanding how to help people become stronger, smarter, and lighter. It's what everybody wants. They want to be stronger, smarter, and lighter. And there's 3 paths to go to, but it all goes the same direction. I can teach you how to do this. If you're interested and you're willing to be taught and you're willing to step up and okay, I want to be in tune. I want to be a custom coach. Let's do it. I'm going to walk you down a training path of what I've learned over the last 18 years that literally will open up your mind to incredible understanding and teach you how to listen to people, how to work with them. And this will happen step by step. Step by step, you will learn what I have done and how I coach people. And along the way, I have a coaching program that's ready to go. You can use it. You don't even have to come up with your own coaching program. I've already wrote the program. You can learn the program and turn right around and be coaching people to become stronger, smarter, and lighter. And those 3 different parts empower people. And if you ever wanted to develop your own program, well, I'll teach you how to do that too. You'll learn. We've been doing this for 18 years. And in 18 years, we've helped a lot of people in 18 years all over the world. But here's the thing. Are you just here to gather information? Again, you just here to content swipe, take pictures of what I have, think it's going to save you, think you can copy what I'm doing? No, you need to learn the plumbing. Just taking pictures of what I have, thinking that this is going to help you be a better coach, it's like you stealing the toilet, but you forgot all the plumbing. You want to learn the plumbing behind all of it. But so just taking the appliance doesn't mean the appliance is going to work. So if you're only here to content swipe, good luck in your do-it-yourself world. How about I train you on how to apply this? How about you finally get really serious about this and know you need to show up because you're wasting time. You're wasting time You're not literally living up to what you could do because of fears, anxieties, and worries inside of you. I know what stops you. I know exactly what gets in your head and what gets in your heart, and I will coach you how to get through that so you can apply what you would learn from me so that you can move personally up into transformation. Because once you start to transform, the people are going to come to you to say, what do I need to do? Teach me, coach me. And you're going to have so many people to coach. But we've got to get you into that zone of transformation, not just information gathering. You got to do the work. You need someone to hold you accountable, somebody to check on you, somebody to see what you're doing. Or you're just going to scoot by in a couple more days, a couple more weeks, you're going to go by and you're not upgrading. Don't think that you're done. You got more life to live. You got more skills to add. It's time for you to get going, and you know it. And I can serve you. I can coach you. I can train you in the right areas. I think the most important part about being a coach is being in tune. Second is having content, techniques, skills to share with your clients. But to be in tune, you would perform at a higher level if you were more in tune with people. I can train you on how to do that. So if you are interested, even in the little bit, to like, okay, how does this work? What do you do, Kirk? Then scan this code with your phone. Scan your code with your phone. Click the button. It'll take you to a page to answer a couple questions I have for you, and then book a call. You can talk to me, or you might be talking to Wayne or Cody, and we're going to tell you about our Coach Fast Track program. Give you all the details, how it works, and then you can make a decision. We're not going to force you to make a decision right there on the phone. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to push you into making a decision. We want to make sure you have the details about what we do. Here at 3 Key Elements, we coach those who are ready to be teachers to become fantastic coaches. And I'll teach you everything I know. Any questions you have, like, let's answer them. I'll coach you. I'll train you. So you can either go to this link right here. It doesn't work if you click the screen, but Adam is going to put that in the chat box right now. So you can click on that link that's in the chat box, or you can scan this code. And again, you'll go to a screen. We'll ask you a couple questions. Those are just to give us some insight of where you're at, and then jump on a call. It doesn't hurt. It's not going to cost you any money. It'll give you all the details you need to see if this is a good place for you to go to be trained. Would love to work with you. Love to take it to the next level in all of this. Now, one extra thing I just want to say, if you happen to be an empath, this is a good place to be. I'm an empath, and I love being in tune, and I could totally help you be really super in tune with people using your empath skill. So if you are an empath, wow, could you do some great work as a coach? I know you might be wondering how you do that, but I'll teach you how. I'll teach you how to do that. And just so you know, you've got a great team here at 3 Key Elements to support you in the Coach Fast Track program. The way that the program's lined out each week, it's a monthly subscription. You can stay in this program as long as you want. I've got some people right now who've been here for over a year and a half, just eating it up. They get coaching content from me every week, answering questions, moving their mind, moving them up. It's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to be teaching somebody. It might as well be you. So what do? Go either scan this code or go to this link and then answer the questions, and then book a call for the beginning of this next week. Really, there's no cost to do it. You'll get all the information, and then you can then make a decision from there. And I do know that we have some scholarships left from the last time I did this. There's still a few scholarships left. So the people who act the fastest get the scholarships. We have certain number of scholarships we do each month. And so there's still a couple, I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you that or not, but there's a couple scholarships that are left. So if you're like, man, I'd love to be trained, I'd love to be coached on how to do this, have a program and I could work with, and have, a client worksheet to give my clients, and have a facilitator guide, and to be able to do this work, be trained. And there's just so many cool things. But really, if you like scholarships and like having like, save you some money or get however you want to call it, save money, get a discount, get money, but it's a scholarship, meaning it changes the price of the program. So if you're interested, book a call, answer the questions. We'll give you the details. And then you want to use that scholarship, use it, and then get in and then just soak this up as much as possible. I suggest to people when I'm working with them, I say, there's some people who they want to be a coach and they want to do this and have sales so that they could do this full time. Or maybe they got another source of income that they could do this full time. But I know some people, they want to do something that they could earn income from. And I tell them, I go, I can teach you how to do that. And it's not hard. It's just got to do the steps. And then there's other people who are like, well, I just want to coach a lot of people, because this is like the coaching the people piece, like spending a lot of time to do this. Will this help you get where you want to go? Yes. It'll just take time to get there, coaching people, working with people. But what if you did earn some money doing this? You could hire people to help you, like an assistant. You could hire somebody to help you market or help you do things. Like this could be like a full-time thing where you really are making a massive impact because of the number of people you're impacting. And people ask me all the time, they go, well, how much can you earn as a coach? And I said, well, I've seen actually as small as like $10 per session for a half an hour session to $500 an hour to $2,000 for 2 hours. I've seen all kinds. And whatever you feel comfortable with or would like to strive for, this could be something that you could actually do and create a very healthy income. And you could hire people if you wanted to get to that point, but you could make a big difference in your family by helping people. Use the skills God gave you. Use the skills God gave you. Here's something interesting. I had somebody say, okay, so you charge people when you coach them. I said, yeah. And they said, but didn't God give you those skills? I said, yeah, God gave me these skills so that I could take care of my family and help people. And they said, no, you can't charge for skills that God gave you. I said, really? I said, so what about a landscaper? Somebody who knows how to do landscaping. They have a gift from God about where to plant trees, how to plant flowers and grass. Should they not charge? Because that's a gift from God that they have. I said, or what about the artist? Because they were inspired to paint, and that's a gift from God. Should they not sell their paintings? Or what about the cook who just has this gift of seasoning? Should that chef close down his restaurant because it's a gift from God? And the person, they quit talking. It's interesting if you use knowledge and information and skills that you have and the gift from God that he gave you to help people. For some reason, people think that should always be for free. They think that's supposed to be for free, to spend all this time and your family not have food and your family not have a place to live, but you're giving all of your time. Sure, there's service. We can all do service, but there's lots of people who do work for people and they have a gift and talent and they get paid for it. In fact, everybody who has a job and a career, it's a gift that they have. It's okay to be paid to help people. My dentist gets paid to help me. My chiropractor, he gets paid to help me. The landscaper, the mechanic, the book I was reading, that author got paid. It's like, it's okay. So if you've ever been like, oh, I don't know if I could do this and be paid for it, it's like, I can help you with that psychology, because if you could be paid, you could actually do this full time and help people all over the world and doing great work. And if you're like, I don't know what to teach them, I'll teach you what to teach them. I don't know how to be in tune. I'll teach you how to be in tune. It's a skill you can learn. And I'm going to say this. Moving forward in life, people are going to need help. And you can be affordable for people. Whatever your line is what you can do to be able to offer people your services and be paid for it. You can be completely like whatever pricing you want, but here's something to think about. Are you self-sufficient? If you're not, you better get with it and figure out how you can earn money without having a job. Jobs are good, but that means somebody else is in control of what you make. But are you self-sufficient in creating income or having a skill that you could trade? What if the money collapsed? What if money could not be used anymore? What skill do you have that would be valuable to trade with? Now, there's lots of different skills, but I'll tell you, a skill you're going to want to have is how to help people with their mind and their emotions, because that people don't know how to do. They don't know how to do that themselves. They need someone to teach them. So I'm going to be giving you kind of an inside scoop here. Learn how to coach people, how to help them, and the techniques that you'll learn from me and the skills you'll learn from me of how to be in tune. It'll make you a custom coach. It'll make you highly sought after as a custom coach. So if the money is gone, people will trade food for you. They will. They'll trade food. They will like, here's food. Help my wife. Help my child. Here's water. Here's food. Because they won't know what to do. Because they don't even know that this is a huge answer to the problems they face on the inside of them. So to give you that inside scoop of like what to be thinking about moving forward, this is a great thing to learn how to do so you can be of service. And if needed and need to be self-sufficient with it, you can take care of yourself. And you won't be panicking about somebody else having to take care of you. This is a skill to have for 100 different reasons. Cool, huh? I think it's cool. I love it. The whole coaching process is just amazing. It's just absolutely phenomenal. The training videos I've made for the program, oh, they're so good. I know it sounds weird, but I just, this particular training video, this one right here, when I made this one, it's in the Coach Fast Track program. This is it's a monthly subscription to being trained on how to become a coach at many different levels. But this video, when I finish this video and it's in the Coach Fast Track Academy, this is weird to tell you, but I literally was sitting there and like tears came to my eyes. I was so tickled, so happy. I'm happy with this. I'm just telling everybody in the world about this because I'm going to be coaching people all over the world about how to do this. So would love to talk to you. It'll be either myself or one of my team members. Either scan this code or click this link or type the link in, go answer the questions, jump on a call, get all the information so you can make a decision if this is the right time, the right place and time for you to work to be able to move forward. Use what you learned here today and learn how to become a better coach. Wow. I said a lot. I hope you took some good notes. I really want to work with you in the Coach Fast Track program. Book the call, and I'm going to go clear back here to the beginning to this screen right here. If you haven't done this, this would be the second thing to do after you book your call is to go ahead and get this program into your life and then share it. That is going to be a game changer for people around you. Super good. Okay. All right. Super cool. So the last screen I want to end on was, let's see here. This one. Okay. You're in a pattern that puts you into habits. Those habits is what decides your lifestyle. Money doesn't determine your lifestyle. Your patterns do. When people chase money, they can't figure out how to get it. When they chase having more time, they can't figure out how to get it. When they chase, how to love and forgive people, they can't figure it out because you can't just chase it. It's got to become a pattern. You're in a pattern. I'm here today to interrupt that pattern. I'm here to interrupt the level you're at and say, step up to the next level. Don't just coast. Don't just be passive. Step up to the next level in a very specific area of being in tune with people. Get in tune at a new level. Get training on how to do it to change your pattern. It will become a habit to be more in tune and what to teach them and how to help them, which will develop a lifestyle. Coaching to me is a lifestyle. It's not a job. It's not a career. It's a lifestyle. But my pattern is serve and help people with techniques and skills. It's just a habit for me to just be able to do this wherever I go and however I do this. You too can have a pattern interrupt. Take what you've learned here today, apply some part of it, just any part of it. And to interrupt your pattern in like a life-changing way, go book a call. Get the information. Let's step up to higher ground, right? All right, super cool. Okay, love you. Thanks for showing up here on a Saturday. I know you probably missed your Saturday cartoons with your kids or something like that. So thank you for taking time to be with me. Love being with you. Love sharing with you. And you know, I show up about at least once a month here to be available to just expand your thinking, move you up, and then to invite you on the mission that I'm on to make a difference in people's lives. All right. Thank you. Love you. And go book a call. I'd love to talk to you. Okay. See ya. Bye.